Hey, it's Sunday, January 3rd, and you're watching The Great Lost Rewatch. Today we're watching the Season 4 episode, Confirmed Dead. This is a freighter folk-centric episode. We learn a little bit about Daniel, Miles, Charlotte, and Frank. So to start off with, we get a little bit of the rover that finds Oceanic 815, which goes along with the ARG that happened before the start of Season 4. And then we see Daniel crying, watching them find the wreckage, or news footage of them finding the wreckage. And since ABC didn't really have anything to pair with Lost at this point in their television season, they decided to pair Lost with Lost. So they played the previous week's episode with pop-up style, like pop-up video from VH1, facts about the previous episode. So the next week when this aired pop-up style, it said that the woman in Daniel's flashback was actually his caretaker, which raised a lot of eyebrows. Miles is a ghostbuster, apparently. He talks to dead people and extorts their family for money. It seems like in this episode, at least, that it's different than how he explains it to be in the future. Like, on the island, he has to be near Naomi's body to know what's happening, but in the flashback, he does not need to be near the body. I assume the body's not in the house with the grandmother. I don't know if that's something that they changed after they wrote this episode, or what. Charlotte's flashback, she is in Tunisia, bribing her way onto a dig where there is a polar bear in the desert in Tunisia, wearing a Hydra Station collar. And she gets this gleeful look on her face. We get a little bit about Frank. He's watching Oceanic 815 wreckage news, and they show the pilot, and he calls up the help hotline for family members or whatever, and he says, that's not the pilot that you're showing as being in the wreckage or whatever. And he says, I know that because I was supposed to be flying Oceanic 815 that day. And you're like, woo! And then the last one is of Naomi getting information about Frank, Charlotte, Miles, and Dan, and talking to a mysterious man. And he says, you just have to get them on the island, off the island, and without getting anybody killed. Oops. So back on the island, Dan gets pushed off the helicopter, and we see him meet up with Jack and Kate. And he says, I'm here to rescue you. Jack and Kate and Daniel get a signal on Miles, and they run out to the rocks on the beach to get it, and then Miles holds them at gunpoint because he says, Naomi said, tell my sister I loved her, which is actually code for they're holding me at gunpoint. We see Charlotte hanging from a tree. She drops out of the tree into some water, and then Locke's people find her. We meet up with Miles, and he has injured himself, so he set off a flare, and Jack and company go up and meet with him, and Miles asks him, where did you crash the helicopter? And Frank is like, what kind of pilot do you think I am? I didn't crash the helicopter, I set it down over there. And they go over the ridge, and Jack and Kate and Juliet and Saeed look at it like it is a gold-plated helicopter, like it is the most wonderful thing they've ever seen in their lives. It's awesome. Dan mentioned something about the light not scattering right on the island. Back with Locke and company, Ben shoots Charlotte because he takes the gun that Carl had on him. And then Ben kind of spills the beans about why the people on the freighter are there. They are there to get Ben. He, spills that he has a man on the boat that is his spy. But Ben also talks about what he knows about Charlotte. Her name is Charlotte Staples Lewis, which the producers have said is a reference to C.S. Lewis, the author. He says that she was born July 2nd, 1979, which, since Season 5, now we know she was a young child in 1977, is obviously what the producers have said is an error on Ben's part. He had the information wrong. But if you take the date, July 2nd, 1979, that is exactly 42 years after Amelia Earhart went missing, July 2nd, 1937. Interesting, right? Yeah. I guess that's it. Leslie's back tomorrow with The Economist, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.
We're gonna need to watch that again.